Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Patrick Ray, and I am one of the Chevron-focused retirement advisors here with the Retirement Group. And I'm here today to talk about the interest rate insights for our Chevron employees specifically. And the Retirement Group has been in business for a little over 30 years, helping Fortune 100 company employees transition into a successful retirement. And we have a whole host of services and tools in an effort to be able to do so. But if you take into consideration our experience and what comes to the table with all of our advisors who are on the team, I'm confident that we can help not just answer your questions, but to guide you in one of the most important financial decisions that you'll ever have to make. I mean, we have offices nationwide with people all over the place that can help you, as well as most of us all have an intimate knowledge of your 401k plans and your medical benefits, and specifically the pension plan, which we're going to talk a little bit about here in just a moment. Maybe the most thing you'll gain value from is not just listening and watching these webinars, but to go through the cash flow analysis process that we have, which is a complimentary service and a way for us to stress test if you're on track to meet your overall goals and objectives. And this is probably one of the most useful tools that I can think of with respect to my 24 years in this business of helping people achieve a successful retirement. And so if you hadn't already done that, we encourage you for sure to do that and to take advantage of that. We're delighted to help you if you want to spend some time with us to do that. And if you're not already doing so, please follow us on our LinkedIn page. This is where we have a whole host of updates on not just the interest rate environment, but new webinars that come out that are correlated just for our Chevron people, and something that certainly you'll find some value out of. So today we're here to talk about the interest rates, and for those of you who are considering once eventually you leave the payroll at Chevron taking the lump sum benefit, you'll want to pay close attention to how these interest rates correlate with your benefits there at Chevron, because the higher the interest rates, the less money you get, and so you have a vested interest to understand and pay very close attention to how these rates interact with your plan itself. So let's take a little closer look. For those of you who don't know, or just a refresher in the event that you do know, you have three different segments, and so these are correlated to the corporate bond segments. And so the first segment is for the short-term rates, and those deal with the first 5 years of your retirement. And then you have the second segment, which deals with intermediate term rates. Those deal with years 6 through 20. And then you have the third segment, which is the longer term rates, and those deal with rates in years 21 plus. So what's interesting about the way the Chevron plan works is their incorporation of the look back of when they make what we refer to as blended rates. And so you can see the April rates are out, and so the first segment is 4.77, and the second segment is 4.97, and the third segment is 5.13. And so if you just compare that to the month prior, you might say to yourself, man, that's awesome because the rates are going down, and in theory that does make a big benefit to you because you get paid more money if the rates are going down. And so you might actually have a vested interest to postpone your benefit commencement even though you already left the payroll, for not just interest rates but a few other things that I'll talk about here in just a moment as a reminder. But the interesting fact about the plan at Chevron is the look back goes for 3 months prior to your commencement. And so they look at the third, fourth, and fifth month prior to your commencement. And so if you look at this July blended rate, the 3 months prior to July are April, March, and February. And so this 4.92, 5.10, and 5.08 are all an average of these three segments over these 3 months, April, March, and February. And so what we've also done on this slide is illustrated to you what the rates were in the blended rates for June and May and April and March and February, as it turns out. So this last 6 months will give you kind of an idea on the transition of what interest rates have been doing. And so even though they're fairly stable, so to speak, they're certainly not transitioning up or down like they were this time last year, as an example. And so for our folks who are considering, for example, the difference between a June commencement and a July commencement, you can see that the rate is just a little bit higher in the blended version of July's rate versus the blended version of June's rates. And so if we had to advise someone on which month to commence their benefit, certainly it would make more sense to commence in June prior or with their retirement as opposed to commencing in July, because it would end up with they'd end up with a few more bucks in their lump sum as it turns out because of this. But what often we talk to our folks about is not necessarily just the benefits of understanding these rates, but things like, does it benefit to postpone your decision to actually commence your benefit? So for example, if you're under the age of 60, there are penalties on your pension plan. And so you might want to know what the cost is per se of deferring your pension and gaining back some of those monies from an interest perspective, because you're prolonging the penalties or prolonging your retirement to collect on your lump sum, which discounts your penalties, right? Which is beneficial to you. But going along with that is a potential opportunity cost. So remember, if you postpone your deferment or you defer your actual commencement of your pension, that's all fine and good, except for let's make sure that we consider what it means to you, because the opportunity cost, as an example of getting access to those funds and investing them correlated to your retirement goals and your investment objectives and your tolerance for risk and earning some interest on those funds, might outweigh the benefit of aging into your penalties, so to speak, right? And postponing that and getting closer to age 60, so the penalty may not be as stiff. So that may make some sense. So it's important for us to remind folks that we are here to do our very best, and of course, because we're fiduciaries, we're bound to do this, but we are interested in trying to make the most of your retirement and helping you do so. And so it may make some sense for you to postpone your deferment or your commencement, or it may make sense to actually absorb the penalty because of the opportunity potential cost that you would have. And so just remember that there are a number of factors with respect to these rates. And again, these rates are out now, and the blended rates for July are 4.92, 5.10, and 5.08. So because they haven't changed all that much in the three segments from a June commencement to a July commencement, it might give you the benefit of waiting another month to see what the trend of the rates are doing. And so remember, what's the beauty of these, the 6 month window that we're sharing with you of July, June, May, April, March, and February is to show you the transition or the history of most recent changes in the interest rate environment. And if we can see that those things are trending in the appropriate direction, downward, which would push out more money to you in a lump sum format, we would encourage you to postpone your commencement, and that would make some sense because you would ultimately end up with more money on your pension lump sum. Now, of course, the issue is, where are we going to create your income from for the time that we're deferring your pension commencement? Well, most of the folks that we deal with at Chevron have other monies. Of course, 401k is a big asset for you, especially if you're not yet 59 and a half, because you could get access to your 401k there penalty free, and you can get penalty free income under something called post 55 separation at the company, which is great, as well as an opportunity to get access to investments that you have that are outside the plan. So just investments that you would have otherwise made over the working years that you had when you were earning a paycheck at Chevron. Those are a couple of avenues that we utilize, of course, to help folks fill in that gap between the time frame that they're going to defer their pension versus commencing, and making sure that they've got an income stream to live off of for that foreseeable future, of course. And so the trick to all this is the planning process, right? I mean, we know statistically that most people don't have a written financial plan. In fact, statistically, 74% of people over the age of 50 do not have a written plan. And it's really not acceptable, frankly, because there are firms like ours that utilize the cash flow process and being able to develop a plan for you as a way to introduce their services to you. And so, of course, the process of developing and getting your cash flow analysis done is something that we're delighted to do for you on a complimentary basis, which we've done for thousands of people over the years in an effort to try to stress test where they're at. And so you can't do that soon enough, frankly. And even if you're 3, 5, 7, 10 years out from retirement, this is a unbelievably useful tool. And so we obviously encourage you to take advantage of that, because that's what we're here to do. And so If you have questions or you want to talk to us further, there's a few ways that you can reach out to us. You can email us at info@theretirementgroup.com. You can reach out to our 800 number, which is 800-900-5867. And you can also schedule an appointment with one of us. If you click or take a picture of this QR code, it'll bring you to a calendar where you can choose a time that works best for you, and then of course pick a time to converse with one of us and see if there are some things that we can do to potentially answer your questions or help you. And then again, here's that LinkedIn QR code, and if you're not already doing so, follow us on LinkedIn. It would be probably well worth your time for sure. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up for the afternoon. And so again, I appreciate your attention today. I hope you found value in the short webinar that we brought to you today on the interest rate update. And as a quick reminder, we are not affiliated in any way with Chevron, nor are we abide by them. We are not affiliated with them in any way. So we just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. And so with that, I will leave you for the afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next webinar. Take care, folks.